All right, before I say anything at all about this game, I'm going to warn you right now. If you are looking for a person that's just going to slate this team and just complain and scapegoat and all of that stuff, just go somewhere else right now. There's no point watching what I'm about to say or how I view this team, how I view this season, how I view this game, if what you're looking for is just criticism of a team that has done so incredibly well all season. Second youngest team in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. And I've said before, that's not necessarily a good thing. But I'm not now, all of a sudden, after praising this team for doing so well, for exceeding so many expectations this season, start slating them. So I'm going to start this like I always start it. If your team is top of the league, hit the like button on this video because we have to stay positive. And you know what? The most important thing about today is nothing has actually changed. And when I say that, let me explain what I mean. Obviously, there's less wriggle room. Obviously, it's going to be harder for us. But after the Liverpool game, I said, like I've been saying for weeks now, all that matters this entire season rests on one thing, and that is Arsenal not losing away at Man City. If Arsenal, even after the Liverpool game, right, I said, if Arsenal avoid defeat at Man City, we can afford to drop points in another Premier League game. Unfortunately for us, we've gone and done that already. We've dropped the points that we could afford to drop. But get your maths crystal clear. If Arsenal and Man City draw in our head-to-head, and Arsenal and Man City win all of the other games that they play this season, Arsenal win the league by a point. Okay? That was the situation before, after the game against Liverpool, before we dropped the points today, that we could afford to go and draw a game. We've drawn that game. That remains true. Like that plan remains true. So it's all about that game. You can look back at the game against Villa, for example. Really, none of us were expecting to win that game. The circumstances in how we won that game were crazy. It was just pandemonium. Against Bournemouth as well, absolute scenes. It was crazy. Sometimes it's going to go your way. Other times it's not. Unfortunately, against Liverpool, it didn't go our way. Unfortunately, today against West Ham, it didn't go our way. But the plan remains unchanged. What I'm saying now is not true if we drop any more points this season or if we lose against Man City. This is the last chance saloon for Arsenal now. 2 games where we've taken a 2-goal lead and then gone and drawn 2-2. Unbelievable. And we had the good luck of the opposition missing a penalty against Liverpool. Today we had the bad luck of us missing a penalty. And, oh man, of all people, Bukayo Saka. It really just hurts me to see him miss a penalty because he has been, for me, one of the top 3 players this season. You know, it's Haaland, Ødegaard and Saka that have been unbelievable. And I have to admit, even though Ødegaard got a goal today, in recent weeks, I feel like Saka and Ødegaard just haven't quite been at the level. And look, you know, Ødegaard's come off twice in the last 2 games now. Talking about Ødegaard coming off, actually, probably good to talk about substitutions. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about Arteta's substitutions in this game. For me, I know that Partey and Jesus are on a yellow, and I'm actually more forgiving about the Partey substitution because he wasn't having a good game. But Jesus, man, we have to just play him. We have to play him. I don't know why he's coming off. Frankly, today, it should have been Saka that came off. And I understand that would have looked a particular way if Saka comes off after missing the penalty. But he didn't have that conviction. He did not get enough joy on his side. So for me, I just would have left Jesus on and taken Saka off. And that's what a manager's job is to do, to explain to Saka, you know, as he's coming off or even after the game that you came off because it was tactical, not because of performance, not because of the penalty. And that's your job as a manager, to make sure confidence isn't affected. But I think he made the wrong substitution there, taking Jesus off. Not to say no complaints about Trossard, but as I say, bring Trossard on for Saka potentially. I do think the Partey one was fair enough on this occasion. But honestly speaking, if I was Arteta, I would always be reluctant to take Thomas Partey off, because we've seen him do it in previous games. And there was one game especially, and I can't remember off the top of my head which game it was, but where he had a bad first half and then he came out second half like a different man. And Partey can do that. He can click into gear at any point in the game. Yes, it wasn't his finest game today, but I can't remember a time where Arsenal looked better without Thomas Partey. He's on 3 yellow cards now, and he needs to make sure that he does not get his 5 yellow card suspension when we're about to face City, because we need him. We need him for that game. We've got City, Chelsea, Newcastle, I can't remember the order, but those 3 in a row, we need Thomas Partey for all of those games. And in fact, that's one thing to mention, okay? A bit of bad luck today, but with that Chelsea game being moved, actually we have 5 days gaps between those 3 games that I said on each occasion, whilst before it wasn't as perfectly spaced out. Hopefully that will make the difference in those games. But you know what annoys me as well? When we got knocked out of the Europa League, the amount of blessing in disguise merchants that, frankly, I found so annoying, so unambitious. Look, the proof is in the pudding, man. We didn't play midweek. We did not have a Europa League fixture. Man City had Bayern Munich, for crying out loud. They go and win, we go and drop points. So all of that, overly positive way of thinking, it gets a bit tiresome. The point is, winning is the best thing that you can do, not getting knocked out. There's no actual benefit to being knocked out of competitions. There's a potential benefit, not an actual benefit. There's an actual benefit to winning. And that is, as we've seen now after dropping points to Liverpool, even though we started off brilliantly, the pressure is getting to us. And I'm just going to kind of end on saying that is normal. When we look at last season, for a team that has never, ever successfully navigated the business end of a season, it all unraveled last year. And right now, with our last 2 games where we've gone 2-0 up and drawn 2-2, right now it feels like it's unraveling again. We need to get back to winning ways. Absolutely essential that we get back to winning ways. And all we can do is back the boys till the very end. That's one thing I've always said. Now, I'm not for a second saying that, Champions League is success, like Champions League qualification is a successful season. Yes, that was the aim at the start of the season. But like anything, aims change. And now, when we're top of the league, and as I've said, all we need to do is avoid that defeat at the Etihad and win the rest of our games, and we will be champions. You can't now all of a sudden say, it's a successful season if we don't win the league. That's the only way this season can be a success, because we haven't got any other trophies to play for. So we have to back the boys till the very end. We need to be realistic about it, but I'm not going to criticise this team because they have been unbelievable this year. So if you're with me, if you're watching this, I hope that you're the sort of fan that isn't looking for a rant type of reaction and someone desperate to go viral because they want to slate the team. That's not what this channel is about. So I'm going to back the boys till the very end, and I hope you are too. The final thing I'll say is that please check out the description below. If you've been following me for many, many years, you'll know I do a social charity thing every single year to raise money to continue to sponsor 6 orphans. If you can just chuck £5 on that, I'd really, really appreciate it. I need just over 400 people to do that so we can continue to sponsor 6 orphans. Please, please do contribute and get involved. Drop your comments in the comments below as well. I want to see how you saw this game and how you see our league campaign overall, and if you still believe. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you for my 5 at 5 tomorrow. Peace.